On this episode, I'm detailing a 2008 Ford F-150 that's hiding a serious mess on the inside. The exterior is not too bad, but the interior, it's packed with dog hair, and I mean everywhere. The owner has 3 massive dogs and hasn't cleaned the inside in over 7 years. It's one of the hairiest vehicles I've ever seen, and we're diving to bring it back to life. Let's go! As I mentally gear up for the job, I'm glad to see the exterior isn't too bad. Looks like this one's going to be an easy peasy cleanup. This is probably one of the most overlooked areas when cleaning a car, the door jambs. Giving them a good spray during every detail helps reduce dirt buildup and keeps things looking fresh. Now, moving on to the wheel wells, these are much easier to clean since there's no felt lining. It's just bare metal, so the dirt comes off effortlessly. friend of mine once asked me, he was like, "Wait, you clean the tires too?" Absolutely. We scrub and clean off all the built-up grime, so when we apply the tire shine, they look brand new all over again. As you notice, I'm only soaking one half of the truck at a time. So my garage is a little bit tight for a vehicle this size, and there's a direct sunlight hitting the back. So I avoid applying soap in the sun since it can dry too quickly and it can leave marks or streaks. Using my detailing brush, I make sure every nook and cranny of the exterior gets thoroughly clean, no spot gets left behind. One of my favorite and the most satisfying part of the process is rinsing off all of the soap and seeing that clean surface shine through. How about you? What's your favorite or most satisfying part of the detail? Since this vehicle is usually parked outside under a tree, all the falling debris tends to settle on the windows and get packed into the edges. It took me a solid 10 minutes to carefully remove all that build-up gunk. Well, you know the drill, guys. Time to remove the license plate so I can thoroughly clean every inch of the rear exterior. No dirt left behind. Now it's time for me to tackle the rear of the vehicle. I need to move quickly here since it's a direct sunlight and we definitely don't want any streaks to form. I'm using a CarPro drying towel for this job. It's made of a thicker material that absorbs more water and dries the surface way faster. Since my garage door is open and there's dust everywhere, I'm applying Meguiar's hybrid ceramic wax now and lock in that shine. I usually save this for the final touch-up, but with this exposure, it's better to do it early and keep the surface protected. Now, moving on to the interior of the vehicle. Sometimes you came across some pretty interesting surprises inside other people's vehicle, like this air horn just, casually sitting there. Guys, you know me. My first step when tackling the interior is removing all personal items to make sure I can clean every square inch of the vehicle thoroughly. I'm not exactly sure why there's a big rock just hanging out in the door cup holder, but hey, every car has its mysteries. Since it's a long weekend and it's a holiday, my amazing neighbor surprised me with some delicious snacks. It's always a blessing to have thoughtful neighbors like that. Anyhow, back to business, back to clear out personal items from the back of the vehicle so I can get straight to cleaning. Now that everything's cleared out, let's take a closer look at what we are working with back here. Looks like the pet hair is practically embedded and clinging to the floor like it's moved in permanently. But no worries guys, time to put my head down and get to work. I'll be teaming up with my trusty Lily brush for most of the interior to tackle every strand. So before I take out the floor mats, I'm giving the area a quick vacuum to pick up all the loose dirt. Gotta keep things tidy and organized as I go. You know what? Luckily, they had floor mats and a dog seat cover in place. So the damage isn't too bad, definitely helped minimize the mess.
Drop by anytime. Okay, yeah.
For a proper deep clean, I'll be removing these seats. Pro tip guys, always disconnect the battery before taking out the seats. Last thing you want is an accident airbag deployment. Safety first guys. Since the lug screw is covered in rust, a quick spray and wipe with some WD-40 should do the trick. Easy fix. Now moving on to the cloth seats, and honestly, they're not that bad shape at all. Should be a fairly easy clean. Looks like the owner might have some few furry friends, but thankfully, no signs of coffee spills or food disasters, especially important when it comes to cloth interiors. This is definitely one of the trickier spots. It took me a solid 15 minutes just to remove all the embedded pet hair from this side alone. Definitely a labor of love. say the Ford's carpet isn't too bad at all. Removing all those pet hairs was pretty straightforward. Now, time to give it a deep clean with some shampoo. When it comes to cleaning the interior hard surfaces, I'm using my favorite combo, all-purpose cleaner and my steamer. It makes the job so much easier and leaves everything spotless. Once the surfaces are clean, it's time to apply a 303 aerospace protectant. This not only protects your car from harmful UV rays but also leaves a sleek, matte finish without any greasy residue. By the way guys, this is not a sponsored video by any products. I just use whatever works best for my detailing. For the final touch-up of the windows, I'm using a CarPro Clarify. It ensures crystal clear glass with zero streaks, leaving your windows spotless and gleaming. And here it is, the moment we've all been waiting for, the finished product. This truck is now ready to hit the road, shining and driving with pride once again. And as I always say, everyone deserves a clean, fresh car because a clean car just hits different. Catch you on the next detail. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Wow, that was great. Look at how clean it is. I didn't even know I had.
Put it up, put it up.
Look at how nice this looks.
Look at the front.
Oh, look at that.
Thank you.
Oh, look at my seat. It's so clean.
That's small.
It's so clean.
Brand new again.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fuck, man. Looks like the dogs have to go in Ant's car.
Here's the key.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate this.
Yeah. Enjoy.
You do good work.
Thank you. Thank you.